Australian 20-cent coins that are in high demand at auctions, thanks to their unique characteristics and historical significance. These coins not only stand out for their rarity, but also for their intriguing design features and the remarkable collector interest they generate. So, let's get started with our first coin. Our first coin on the list is the 1997 Australian 20-cent coin featuring Queen Elizabeth II's third portrait. This coin is rare for several reasons, including its unique state of preservation, a large date variety, and its distinct black color, which indicates a level of wear and corrosion that has only added to its mystique in the market. Before we dive into the specifics of this coin's value, let's first take a step back and understand the history surrounding this series of 20-cent coins. The 20-cent coin was introduced in Australia in 1966, alongside the rest of the new decimal coinage, when the country switched from the pound system to decimal currency. Since then, this coin has seen various design changes and updates. The 1997 coin, however, is especially important because it represents the last year in which the third portrait of Queen Elizabeth II appeared on Australian currency. The design features Queen Elizabeth II in her later years, with a more mature and regal appearance compared to the earlier portraits. The third portrait, created by Raphael Makhlouf in 1985, was the first to show the Queen wearing the royal diadem and facing right, a position she had never been portrayed in on Australian coins before. The change was significant, not only for the symbolism but also for the portrayal of the Queen's aging process over the years. This third portrait, combined with the large date, was only used for a short period, making the 1997 coin an important year for collectors. Now, let's talk about the specifics of this coin. The 1997 Australia 20-cent coin with the large date in black color and dirty condition has a unique story behind it. The coin, despite its worn and dirty condition, is considered to be one of the most valuable coins of the 20-cent series due to a number of factors. The black color seen on this particular coin comes from environmental factors, including corrosion and oxidation, which have altered the coin's appearance dramatically. This blackened look is often associated with coins that have been exposed to harsh elements, and although such a state of preservation would generally decrease the value of most coins, it has the opposite effect here. Collectors value this coin because it is a rare example of how coins can deteriorate in a way that actually enhances their collectability. This particular coin, with its unique black color and dirty condition, is highly sought after by collectors who specialize in coins with unusual attributes. Its value at auctions today can fetch up to $90,000, a staggering amount considering its condition. The high value is primarily driven by its scarcity, as only a handful of these coins have been preserved in this specific state. The large date variety adds another layer of rarity to the coin, further increasing its worth. Additionally, the market for this coin is extremely robust, with many collectors constantly on the lookout for coins in this condition. The historical context of the coin also contributes significantly to its collector interest. It's not just a coin, it's a piece of Australian history, reflecting a time when Australia's coinage was evolving and changing. This coin's rarity, combined with its historical context, makes it an iconic piece in any collection. Mintage numbers for the 1997 Australia 20-cent coin are relatively high, but the vast majority of the coins produced were in much better condition, meaning that only a small fraction of them has survived in such a unique and valuable state. As a result, this coin has become a prized possession for serious collectors, with many willing to pay premium prices to own a specimen like this. The errors on this coin are minimal, but the distinctive blackened and dirty appearance makes it an anomaly in the series, further adding to its appeal. The market for coins in unique conditions like this is always evolving, with new collectors discovering the value of such coins all the time. This coin, while not pristine, is considered a special edition of sorts, and as a result, its value has only increased over time. The second coin we're discussing today is the 1976 Australia 20-cent coin, which features the second portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. This coin is an essential piece in the Australian coinage series, and its value has been steadily increasing over the years. Like the 1997 coin, this one also has a large date variety, but what sets it apart is its condition, rusty and dirty. But don't be fooled by its appearance. This coin is extremely valuable, and collectors are willing to pay a substantial amount to own a piece of Australian history in such a unique state. The second portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin, was used from 1966 to 1984 on all Australian coins. The portrait shows the Queen wearing a crown and facing the right. It was a more youthful portrayal of Her Majesty compared to the later portraits, and it became one of the most widely recognized images on Australian currency. The second portrait was a defining image of Australian coinage for nearly 2 decades, making coins from this period highly collectible. In 1976, the 20-cent coin was produced in large numbers, but only a small number of them have survived in this rusty, dirty condition. Like the 1997 coin, the corrosion on the 1976 coin has contributed to its uniqueness and rarity. The rusty look is a result of the coin being exposed to environmental elements over an extended period. Although rust and corrosion typically diminish a coin's market value, it is precisely these elements that make this particular coin so special and valuable. The 1976 20-cent coin with the large date and rusty, dirty appearance has been known to fetch upwards of $150,000 at auction, a reflection of its rarity, condition, and the demand from collectors who specialize in coins with unique qualities. Collectors are drawn to these coins because of their distinct look and the fact that they represent a time in history when Australia's coinage was transitioning and evolving. The 1976 coin also represents an era when Australian coins were still being minted in relatively high volumes, making coins from this period harder to come by in unusual conditions. The mintage for the 1976 20-cent coin is significant, with millions of coins produced that year. However, the vast majority of these coins have been lost, damaged, or preserved in much better condition. The few that remain in a rusty and dirty state are considered rare gems in the eyes of collectors. The value of these coins is driven by the fact that they are part of a much-loved and highly collectible series, and their rarity in this specific condition makes them stand out in the marketplace. This coin, like the 1997, has an error in its preservation, which only adds to its value. The error, in this case, is not a minting flaw, but rather a natural occurrence of rust and corrosion that makes the coin appear aged beyond its years. The combination of the second portrait, the large date, and the unique condition of the coin makes it a must-have for any serious Australian coin collector. Next up, the 1967 Australian 20-cent coin, featuring the second portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, is not just an ordinary piece of currency. This coin stands as a symbol of Australian heritage and an essential piece of numismatic history. The second portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin, was a significant departure from the earlier designs that showcased her youthful face. This 1967 coin holds historical value because it marks a transitional period in both Australian coinage and the country's identity within the Commonwealth. The 1967 issue of the 20-cent coin was minted at a time when Australia was undergoing economic and political changes. In the 1960s, Australia was part of the British Commonwealth, and Queen Elizabeth II was, of course, the monarch. The new portrait depicted a more mature version of the Queen, giving the design a sense of continuity while also showing the passage of time. This design was used on coins across the Commonwealth, and it's important to note that this coin marked the start of a modernized series for Australia, which eventually saw new designs in the 1980s. In terms of mintage, the 1967 Australian 20-cent coin had a relatively high mintage, with over 68 million coins being produced. However, despite its relatively common mintage, it is important to note that the market for these coins fluctuates based on condition, demand, and rarity. This particular coin, with its dirty condition status, still carries a surprisingly high value in the collector market due to several factors. First, the term dirty condition can be somewhat misleading in the numismatic world. While the coin may appear to be in a rough state, collectors often see coins in this state as having a unique character. The wear and tear can tell a story of its journey through the years, making it desirable to collectors who appreciate the coin's history. In this specific case, the coin's damage is not significant enough to detract from its value entirely, and its rarity in any condition means it still holds appeal. In today's auction market, the value of a 1967 Australian 20-cent coin in a dirty condition can fetch anywhere between $20,000 and $100,000, depending on specific auction trends and the current market conditions. The demand for coins with historical significance, combined with the unique aspect of the Queen's second portrait and its dirty condition, creates a high collector interest. Despite the relatively high mintage, this coin's desirability lies in its connection to Australia's numismatic history. Over the years, collectors have come to realize that coins from the 1960s featuring the Queen's second portrait are highly sought after, especially those in less than perfect conditions that provide a tangible link to the coin's history. If you happen to come across one of these coins in your collection, it's important to consider its provenance and the context in which it was circulated, as this can add to its overall appeal and market value. The market for dirty coins is driven by collectors who want to own pieces with historical stories, even if they are not in pristine condition. Over time, this particular coin has become a prime example of how even less than ideal coins can experience significant increases in value, as demand for pieces with notable design features and historical significance continues to grow. Now, let's move on to the second coin on our list, the Australia 20 cents. Elizabeth II second portrait 1980 large date coin with damage dots. This coin, despite its imperfections, has managed to gain considerable collector interest and hold a high market value. Let's explore why. The 1980 Australian 20-cent coin, featuring the same portrait of Queen Elizabeth II as the 1967 coin, is another pivotal piece in the history of Australian numismatics. The design of the Queen's second portrait, while used across many coins throughout the Commonwealth, holds particular significance for Australian collectors. The 1980 issue of the 20-cent coin, specifically the large date version, is especially important due to its rarity and the unique characteristics that set it apart from other coins of the same era. The 1980 coin was part of a broader set of currency minted during a period of inflationary pressures in Australia. The 1970s and 1980s were marked by rising costs and economic challenges, which led the Australian government to release coins in various denominations to meet the growing demand for currency. The 20-cent coin itself, along with other denominations, became crucial in everyday transactions, helping Australians cope with the rising cost of living during this period. The large date feature of the 1980 coin is what makes it particularly interesting to collectors. During the minting process, there was a notable variety in the size of the digits used to represent the year on coins, with some coins being struck with a larger date than others. The larger date was typically used for coins intended for circulation, and they have since become a sought-after variation due to their distinctiveness. Now, let's talk about the condition of this coin, specifically the damage dots present on the coin's surface. These imperfections, often caused by mishandling or environmental factors, might initially seem like a flaw, but they have become part of the coin's character. In fact, certain types of damage, including these dot-like markings, can sometimes increase the coin's value because they make the coin more unique. As a result, collectors often find themselves drawn to coins with this kind of damage, as they stand out from other coins in pristine condition. The mintage for the 1980 20-cent coin was substantial, with over 55 million coins struck, but the large date variety is far less common than its smaller date counterpart. This rarity has led to an increase in demand for the large date coin, especially when it features unique characteristics, such as the damage dots. In the current auction market, this coin and damage dots condition can easily fetch anywhere from $50,000 to over $120,000, depending on the severity and distinctiveness of the damage. The presence of the dots gives the coin a sense of history, and the rarity of the large date variation further fuels its desirability among collectors. The value of this coin in the auction market is also influenced by the growing interest in Australian coins from the 1980s. As collectors begin to focus more on coins from this era, especially those with unique attributes, the prices for coins like the 1980 large date 20-cent coin with damage dots are likely to continue climbing. The appeal of this coin lies not just in its rarity and imperfections, but also in the way it connects collectors to a specific period in Australian history. The economic circumstances of the 1980s, coupled with the design elements of the coin, make it an essential piece in the story of Australia's numismatic journey. As with any rare coin, the provenance plays a key role in determining the final auction price. Coins with a documented history of being part of important collections, or those that come with certificates of authenticity, will often command higher prices. So, if you happen to own a 1980 large-date 20-cent coin with damage dots, it's worth considering its origin and any relevant historical context that could add to its appeal. Next up, the Australian 20-cent coin, specifically the 2004 version bearing the fourth portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, holds a special place in the numismatic world. This coin is a masterpiece of Australian coinage and boasts a fascinating history and a remarkable design that draws the attention of both casual collectors and seasoned numismatists. The 20-cent coin has been in circulation in Australia since 1966, but the 2004 issue represents a significant milestone in its evolution. The 2004 Elizabeth II fourth portrait design was created by renowned artist Ian Rank Broadley. This portrait of the Queen was introduced as part of a broader redesign initiative to refresh the national symbols and imagery found on Australian currency. Rank Broadley's portrait, which first appeared on Australian coins in 1998, marked a shift towards a more modern and lifelike depiction of the Queen, moving away from the more traditional and stylized portrayals that had been featured on earlier coins. What makes the 2004 20-cent coin stand out in particular is the large date variation. The large date version is relatively rare compared to its smaller counterparts, and this feature has made it an object of desire among collectors. The obverse of the 2004 coin features the fourth portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, a more contemporary and realistic rendering of Her Majesty. This portrait is a close-up image of the Queen, with her hair elegantly styled and a crown resting atop her head. The Elizabeth II fourth portrait is distinguished by its finer details, including the Queen's facial features, which are much more defined and lifelike than previous portraits. The reverse side of the coin showcases a traditional design featuring a stylized depiction of a lyrebird, one of Australia's most iconic native species. The lyrebird is shown in a dynamic pose, with its long tail feathers spread out behind it. The bird's graceful posture and natural beauty represent the vibrancy of Australian wildlife. Around the perimeter of the coin, the inscriptions read Australia and 20 cents, which clearly identify the coin's origin and denomination. The 2004 20-cent coin with the large date is one of the rarer versions of the series, with only a limited number produced. While the total mintage figure for this coin is not exceptionally low compared to some other rare Australian coins, the specific combination of features, including the large date and the fact that it is part of a limited series, has driven its market value to significant heights. In fine condition, this coin can be worth anywhere from $50 to $150, depending on the quality of the individual specimen. However, when found in higher grades, such as extremely fine or uncirculated, the value can skyrocket. Coins in these pristine conditions have been known to fetch prices well above $1,000 at auction. The true value of the 2004 20-cent coin in fine condition, however, comes into play when it is sold at specialized numismatic auctions. Some specimens have been known to sell for as much as $15,000 or more, particularly if they exhibit minimal wear and have been certified by professional grading organizations such as the Australian Coin Grading Service or the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation. The appeal of this coin lies not only in its rarity, but also in the global fascination with Queen Elizabeth II's portraits. As the longest reigning monarch in British history, coins featuring her image have become highly sought after by collectors worldwide. Furthermore, the Australian 20-cent coin is a national treasure, and any coin that carries the mark of the country's beloved wildlife is sure to attract premium prices. Errors and collector interest. Errors play a huge role in driving up the value of coins in the marketplace, and the 2004 20-cent coin is no exception. Some errors that have been spotted on these coins include misprints of the date, slight die cracks, and the occasional off-center strike. These errors are extremely rare, and when such specimens are found, they can fetch astronomical prices at auction, sometimes exceeding $100,000 or more. Collectors are drawn to coins like the 2004 cents because they represent the intersection of historical significance, artistic merit, and rarity. The limited production numbers combined with the iconic design featuring the lyrebird and the fourth portrait of Queen Elizabeth II make this coin a centerpiece of any Australian coin collection. The continued interest in both the Queen's portraits and Australian wildlife ensures that the 2004 20-cent coin remains in high. The 2004 20 cents, Elizabeth II fourth portrait large date, is a coin that beautifully captures the essence of Australia's rich history, its royal connections, and its natural beauty. As more collectors turn their attention to rare Australian coins, this coin is poised to continue gaining value over time, especially as more collectors seek to own a piece of history. Thanks for joining us. Happy collecting!